Hey everyone, this is Timid Falconet, and I'm back with another episode of Road to 1100, or 1.1k or whatever. Anyways, today's match is going to be this Tier 1 Fog game on 1v1 Marn versus some new player. It's got, well, at the end of the match, he had 984 rating, so I'd say it's probably around where I was playing at that point anyways. Today's match is mainly going to be focusing on Sturm's sort of niche in Tier 1. And honestly, just in this map in general. But first, I'm going to start off by quickly reviewing the Tier 1 COs in Fog, as well as the map. So, for Tier 1 Fog, you can really play any of these COs other than anyone Tier 0. But really, the only super viable options are, I guess, Crit, theoretically. You got Hawk, you got Sturm, and then you got Von Bolt. I think Max is maybe okay as well because he has that extra 20% day-to-day firepower. That's really it. I guess maybe no, you're not gonna get the power of charge up fast enough. And the reason why it's only a couple of COs that are super viable is just because of how stupid. I say stupid, but just due to the design of Marn. So first of all, the map only has the size of the map it's relatively small. Just looking at it. So that's physically, it's sort of spread out a bit, but like just physically it's pretty small, and then in addition to that, it's only got 34 properties. No, 36 properties. So that's 18k total, which means that generally speaking, COs that are usually going to be better on larger maps like Olaf or Hawk or Sasha aren't just going to be as good as they normally would be. Javier, like this is a very open map, so Javier is not going to be good at all either, because indirects aren't going to be super viable, and because it's only a one comm tower map, he's not going to get super busted in terms of defense either. Sturm is like the candidate. Like, he's got a 67% win rate on this map. And there are a couple of reasons for this. Number one is this river opening here means that Sturm has a really nice early game. He gets a little bit of an early income lead for a couple turns. Like, obviously, if your opponent's playing properly, they can just take that. It'll be evened up in like a couple turns. Depending on where you send your infantry, they might even take the income lead. If you don't play your capture game properly. But yeah, that's the first reason. The reason why that's important is it allows Sturm to get enough extra income. Like it'll come out to like an extra 2 or 3k income early game, which is actually ends up being a lot usually. And especially for Sturm, like it means that he can afford like an extra recon or even an extra tank maybe early on. It means he could get a battlecopter out faster if he wants. Although honestly, Sturm's battlecopters are kind of crap, so I don't know about that. But it also means he could get a transport copter maybe if he wanted to. Although it's Sturm, I don't think he really cares about transport copters. I don't think he really needs it because his infantry can just walk over water anyways and walk over mountains anyways. Yeah, and that's that. The second reason why Sturm is pretty good is these two forests here. And the fact that these HQs they're actually super exposed. Like, it's actually 3 turns to get a tank here from this base here. So if you remember from last week's episode on... Well, actually, I'll just take a look at the map here. I'll bring up the Doom here. So as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from this base, it's only one turn to get to the HQ, and this is still a relatively exposed HQ. Like, Sammy Victory March can still get to this HQ very easily. But it's in one turn from your base. In this map, it's 3 turns from this base to reinforce here with a tank. The reason why you sort of want to, if you're going to be defending your HQ and you're expecting your opponent to go for an HQ rush, like, by the way, if you don't know that, the HQ rush is very good on this map, especially as Sturm. But the reason why you want to go for a tank here is because your opponent's mainly going to be building. It can counter both of your opponent's things that they can spam, which is infantry, primarily, and secondarily, it'll be tanks. So on the HQ, tanks generally take like 3 hits from opponent's tanks, meaning you need to be outnumbered like 3 to 1 in order to be kicked off of your HQ if you have a tank there. With Sturm's reduced firepower makes it so that he doesn't even consistently 3-hit KO here. But anyways, I think I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, because the reason why Sturm is so good in this map is he can just spam tanks from these 2 bases, and they can get to this HQ in 3 turns. While most other COs can't because of these forests here. Yeah. So he can easily just spam out like 2 tanks a turn and then just rush from towards this HQ, and then just, so long as he gets here before the bulk of your units do, he can just push through. Even if you have like 1 tank here, you can still just surround it and basically just whittle it down and open it up for his infantry to move in. So that's why Sturm is very good. It's so freaking it's so crazy. And then also because of Sturm's really good, well, it's not like really good, but because of his extra 20% defense, it means that his capture game is super hard to interrupt as well. Like, it's not as hard to interrupt as Sammy, full health Sammy infantry, but if he's focusing on a single property and he has like 2 or 3 infantry in the area, he can generally just stack them onto the HQ, and if you don't have enough units to whittle him down, he can just take it. So that's why Sturm's super good in this map. I'd say he's definitely probably the best pick. I'd say Von Bolt is also a very good pick, which is why he's got a 51% win rate. And then other than that, like, I'd say Max is okay because he can theoretically punch through Sturm, but like the thing is, like, Sturm infantry on HQ has an extra 60% defense, so it's still going to be difficult to punch through that. But Max could be okay. Sturm is probably the best pick here. Von Bolt, I'd say, is second best. Third is probably Max, and then fourth is Hawk. Max also gets his power out pretty quickly as well, so keep that in mind. But other than that, like, Mine is a weird map. It's a really weird map. For some reason, it's no longer in Global League. It's a bit too one-sided. Although I feel like if Sturm were banned, it would be fine, but whatever. It's a fun Sturm map anyways, so. Yeah. Oh, also the comm towers, they look sort of contestable, but like because the HQs are, first of all, they're like right next to both of these bases. So your opponent, if you try to go for your opponent's comm tower, you're just gonna get overwhelmed from these. And like, it doesn't matter because you'll be able to overwhelm this HQ a lot faster than these comm towers. So these are actually completely uncontested comm towers. They don't really matter. They matter because you get the extra 10% attack, but like, they're not contested. Yeah. Oh, also reason why Sturm is good is you could just wander around these rivers as well in the corner pretty quickly as well. Although I don't feel like it's that necessarily good, but it's a thing. Sturm's pretty good in this map. in case you didn't get it. But yeah, here's the replay. I'm gonna start with the replay now. And then you'll see Sturm just like this first turn doesn't really matter too much because you can just walk across this river in 2 turns anyways. But that's a significant amount of income. Like right already, picking Sturm gives you an extra 1,000 income. It saves you a turn here, so that's an extra 1,000. That's an extra 1,000 funds in the bank. Like immediately. Yeah. And what else is going on? Like he's also able to do it from this one here, like 1z3, 1z3, as opposed to like 1. That's like 2 turns. Well, that's 1 turn. It's really just 1 turn. Faster, but like you get the point. The next income, 1,000 income there as well. Next 1,000 income there from just moving here. That's extra 3k already. This one doesn't matter. And then I think once he gets chaining stuff, it doesn't really matter past that point, past this river, but he's basically like an extra 3k that Sturm gets early game. That's basically an extra recon if you want it. And Sturm's recons are pretty good on this map as well, because it's mainly plains, meaning he can just speed through with them and see whatever he wants. Whereas his opponents can't really do that. I think this transport copter, it looks good to me on paper. Well, first of all, I put it in the wrong spot. But second of all, like that's an extra 8k. I should have spent that on an infantry here. And then saved up for an early battle copter as well, probably. As opposed to wasting the money here. Although, I think the transport copter may have helped me push a little bit towards his HQ a little bit faster, but like the map's so small that it doesn't matter. You really don't need a transport on a map this small. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that I get to the HQ as quickly as I can with the infantry, but like infantry are good against other infantry, but like look at how many tanks he already has coming out. Like my infantry on the HQ isn't gonna last very long against his tanks. Let's be real. Like, yeah. Like I put the infantry here, and I have the recon here as well, so I'm planning on putting him on the HQ next turn. But it's not gonna disable me. And yeah, he pushes onto the HQ, and at this point, like, it's basically guaranteed that he's gonna win. Like, he has 2 tanks here. I don't have anything in the area to deal with that. And I really should have been prepped and ready for that. I have the tank here now, but it's too late to actually do any good. I have this other tank here. It's never going to make it in time. I've got a battlecopter incoming, but it's never going to make it in time either. Like, you're just too far away from your HQ in this map to really defend against a well-prepared HQ rush if you aren't prepared for it yourself. But like, look at that. Crazy good push here, and he's basically got this cap guaranteed at this point. Because I'm not going to be able to push through here with these units. That being said, he's sort of leaving his own HQ exposed. So like, yeah, like, this isn't actually a cap for me next turn, but it's basically guaranteed in 2 turns because he doesn't have any vehicles around. So if I were able to push him off of my HQ here, I could have won, I think, but like, I'm not going to be able to push against this. He's only got 3 left on that anyway, so yeah. There was no way I was gonna be able to push through that. At that point. What I should have done was, I think it was turn 5. Yeah, turn 5. Instead of building this transport copter, I should have built a tank here. I had the money for it. So I should have built the tank there and then just moved it straight to the HQ. After that, probably would have gone for like a battle copter, and then tanks to start pushing this way. Maybe a second tank to reinforce here as well would have been nice. But it's turn 10. No, it's turn 5. But you have to build a tank here in order to get it there in time, I feel. It's like turn 5, you build. Turn 6, it'll be like here. Turn 7, it'll be basically in range next turn. And then turn 8 is really when I needed to get the tank onto the HQ. Because if I had had a tank on the HQ, first of all, he didn't have the tanks in range to actually push into it. Which I think he base skipped at some point. Yeah, he base skipped here. So, well, I don't know if he had the income ability to do super crazy things with the tanks, but like he wouldn't have been able to push in against this, and I would have been able to hold the line here for another few turns, which is honestly all I would have needed to push into the HQ here. Especially with how heavily he was moving in down here. And then from that point on, like if I had just skipped the transport and mech by itself is 8k. Like that's basically enough. Like I would have had enough for an earlier battlecopter if I hadn't wasted my money there. But yeah, that's this map. It's something that you need, like this map you need to be prepared for going into it in order to be able to win. Especially if you're playing against Sturm. If you're playing like tier 2 or lower, it's a little bit less crucial because you don't have to deal with the crazy defense. Like 60% defense on the HQ cap plus all these units, plus the reinforcements coming in for returns from these forests. It's so impossible to deal if you don't have a defensive, if you don't have like a swarm of tanks prepped here, or even just one tank, But yeah, that's the funny Sturm meme. I'd say Sturm overall has niche in tier 1 fog. This is extra defensive boosts. It's pushing against exposed compowers like this, and then that's sort of it. I don't really like playing Sturm other than that. Mainly because I don't like to deal with his bad attack, and like his recons are super good because they can just move around everywhere and they'll last longer as well. But I feel like Von Bolt usually can overpower him with his day-to-day. Like 10-10 is a lot better than -20-20, and then Hawk can just slowly hammer him down with his powers, and then just delete a fifth of his army, delete another fifth of his army, and that like on a longer, drawn-out map, like something like Stalingrad or something like that, it's just Sturm can't really deal with that type of stuff. Like even against Sasha, Sturm sort of struggles a bit. But yeah, that's basically it for this week's episode. Next week will be this tier 4 fog map with Grim. So it's gonna be Sammy versus Grim in tier 4 fog. So, and it's gonna be on a really open map like this as well. If you are interested in that, I guess, like, subscribe, and all that nonsense. And this will be coming out at the normal, usual Sunday time. So I guess I will see you guys then. Bye.